Hello, welcome once again to another CSS video tutorial. In this video, we're going to learn about Flexbox. Flexbox is a layout system used in CSS to create flexible and responsive layouts. Flexbox has a container called Flex Container, which is this black box. It also has child elements called flex items. So these boxes are flex items. So the items inside the box are called flex items, and the container, the box containing all the items inside it, is called flex container. Before we begin, let's take a look at Flexbox properties. Okay, there are some properties Flexbox has that are very important for us to go over them before we actually start to look at what they are by demonstration. So let's look at Flexbox properties. So the first one happens to be display. So when you set your Flexbox as display flex, it's going to start displaying all your items as flex box. Okay, this might not make a lot of sense, so for now guys forget of me. Okay, so we have flex direction, and this will also set your flex items to a direction that you want. Okay, you can have flex direction as row, you can have it as column, you can set the direction as row reverse or column reverse. We have justify content, and with justify content, this works on the main axis, which is the x axis, and then we're able to apply space between our elements. And then next up, we have align items. You can align your items center, and this align item property works on the cross axis, which is the same as the y axis. And then we have flex groove. Now let me take you back. Now you can see this red box. With the help of flex groove, I was able to increase the size of this box, okay, whilst maintaining the size of our smaller boxes. So this is flex groove. Let's go back there. All right, so we have flex string. You'll be able to string some of your boxes at a certain break point, okay, and then we have flex wrap. All right, so that's enough when it comes to Flexbox properties. Let's go ahead and then look at them in real case scenarios. Let's get started. Welcome to my code editor. This is where we're going to be writing our code. Right now, I have my HTML file opened, and we're going to create our flex container and then our flex items. So I hope you all know how to create container. So first of all, create a div. Okay, so it's going to be a div, and then we'll give it a name, flex, and then you add container, hit enter, and then another enter to leave room for our flex items. So this is going to be a container, and that container will contain all our items. Okay, so Flexbox has a container called flex container, and then it also has items called flex items. Let's write our code for our flex items. So I'm first of all going to put a div, and then I'll put my items. So let's say item, so item like this. Okay, so this is my first flex element or item, and then I'll simply duplicate it. So right now I need 4 flex items. 1 2 3 4. Okay, now inside here I would like to put some demo text, so I'll just put here, this is item 1, like this. And then inside here, like, I'll just copy what is here, just copy it and then put here, and I'll simply change 1 to 2 the same way. I'll paste here, change 1 to 3, and finally I'll paste this one to here, and then I'll just change that one to what, 4. Perfect. So now we have our flex container containing everything, all our children or our child items. This is a quick tip for those of you using Visual Studio Code as your code editor. We're going to install an extension called Live Server. So I'll take you to extensions, and then make sure you have internet connection. After that, please, inside this search box, type Live Server, okay, which is here, Live Server. After you type Live Server, just click on it, it will pop up, and then in your case it will be install. Okay, so click on install and Live Server will be installed. Now the main purpose of Live Server is to help you update your changes or without refreshing your web page. Okay, so the web page will be reloaded automatically without you necessarily coming here to reload anytime you want to see your changes. So that's the main purpose of that extension, Live Server. Okay, so make sure you install it. After you have that installed, on the status bar, okay, right now you can see that. So beneath, to your extreme right, you see go live. So just click on go live, and that is it. Anytime you make changes to your code, it will be reflected automatically. So let me go ahead and then demonstrate that for you. So I'll click on go live, which is to my extreme right at the lower right corner of my code editor. So let's click on go live. After that, I'll go ahead and then give my web page a background color of something like yellow. Now when I take it to our web browser, I don't need to reload this page. The page will be reloaded automatically for me. So this will enhance productivity when it comes to coding. So that extension is very helpful. It comes in handy when you want to enhance productivity. So that is it, guys. Let's continue building or learning about Flexbox. Let me start demonstrating to you how Flexbox works. But before that, I'll clear my CSS code here, and then we'll start from fresh. So first of all, we need to take our container, and I told you Flexbox has a container called Flex Container. So we'll take this particular class, which is a container, and then we'll put dot, and then we'll paste the name of the class there. And now before I can demonstrate Flexbox, I need to show you the box. Okay, I need to show you the box. There's a container that our flex items move around. So in order to demonstrate this, I'll first of all create a bigger box, which is going to serve as our flex container, so you can see it visually. All right, but usually this is not always done. All right, but I'm only going to enter some code here to get style our box so that you see the box and see how things move around it. So first of all, we're going to create our box, and of course we put width. We give it a width of 100% of the browser, and then I'll give it a height like this, and then this is 400 pixels like this, and then we will give it color. That way we can see what is happening. So we're going to give it a background color. So you can just put background or background color. It's all the same. And then let's give it a gray color. All right, so now let me take you to our web browser, and as you can see, I did not reload this page, but the changes have been reflected. This is as a result of our live server installed. Okay, that's why I advise you to install that particular extension. And now when you click on the go live, you're going to be redirected to an address like this. Okay, an address like this, and this is pointing back to your code editor. All right, so this is now our box. This is the Flex container, and we're going to create little boxes and then move them around. So in order to create your little boxes, simply come down and then pick one of the boxes. Let me take you to my HTML document, and then since the boxes are the same, let me just duplicate this, making it them 4 like this. Good. So since the boxes are the same and they have the same class name, I'll just copy this class name and then go to CSS, and all I need to do is put a dot and then paste the name of the class like this. And now we're going to start styling our boxes. Okay, our smaller boxes. So the first thing we'll do is to give it a width, because our boxes will of course have width. You can't have a box without a width. You can also have box without height. So we're going to give it a width of 200 pixel. We'll also give it height of 100 pixels. We will also give it a background color, and this will help us see our box visually. And then I'll give it something like red. We're also going to give it color, because when I take you to our web browser, you can see our boxes are here, but the text inside individual box looks smaller. So we need to increase the font size of our text. We also need to give these boxes margin so that the boxes will not be merged like the way they are merged. All right, so let's go back there and then continue. So I'll change the color of the text to white. Okay, so let's put white there like this. I'll also increase the font size of our text. So let's put font size of our text to something like maybe 30 pixels. Okay, so 30 pixels or 20 pixels is okay. So let me just say 25 pixel like this. And I also give my boxes margins. Okay, so margin all rounded. So just put margin this way, and we're going to give it a little margin which is only 5 pixel. So we're giving it 5 pixel margin all around it. Now let's go to our web browser, reload, and now sorry, we don't need to reload because the web browser will do it for us. And now you can see how it looks, but our last box is outside our Flex container. So that means we have to increase the size or the height of our Flex container, right? Then meaning I'll have to take you back here, and then instead of 400, I'll just give it like 500, and this time things should work fine for us. And now this is what I wanted to show you. All right, so now let's continue. The gray box in Flexbox is referred to as Flex container. these items, in our case, they are boxes. So these red boxes inside this container, which is a gray container, are referred to as flex items. Okay, so item 1, item 2, item 3, and item 4 inside this gray box are referred to as flex items. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the first flex property we'll be talking about in CSS. So the very first flex property we will be covering in this part of the video is the display property. The display property. The display property is used to define the container as a flexbox container. So any container you define display, that container will start obeying flexbox properties. So to turn an element into a flexbox container, you set the display property to flex. So let's go to our code editor and see how that is done. All right, so here we have our container, which is here. So to set this container to a flexbox container, all we need to do is to put the display property there like this, and then you put flex. But before I type flex, let's go to our web browser. Now just observe how our boxes are vertically placed on the screen. The moment I change or I assign flex to our display type, our boxes will start changing orientation. And now you can see this is flexbox. So you see how they are now repositioned. The display property in flexbox, which is this, is very crucial because without it, other flex properties like flex direction, flex wrap, flex groove, flex string, and flex basics will not work. So without the first property, which is display flex, the rest of flex properties, just like those we have here, will not work. So the display property is used to turn on a particular container as a flex box container. In this part of the video, we're going to learn about flex direction as a flex box property. Let's go ahead and demonstrate flex direction. So I'll take you to our code editor, and then we'll put flex direction, and we can set our direction as column reverse, row, or row reverse. So first of all, let me set it as column, and then let's check. And as you can see, our flex boxes, they were arranged in the form of a row, but now they are in a column. Let's change the direction to row. So remove everything here, and then we'll put it as row. Now let's check, and they are in a row. All right, let's talk about row reverse. So all we need to do is to change the direction from row to row reverse this way. Okay, and now let's check. They are in a row, but they have shuffle, and that means instead of 1 2 3 4, it rather starts from this. Now a reverse, which is 4 3 2 and 1. Let's talk about column reverse. Okay, so column reverse, so put column reverse, and now we have a column but in a reverse. So that's flex direction in CSS. Let's look at justify content, which is a property in Flexbox. And justify content displays objects on the main axis, which is the x-axis. Let's go ahead and demonstrate justify content. So to demonstrate justify content, all we need to do is to put justify. So just put justify content. And now, before we can demonstrate this, let me take you to our web browser, and then I'll show you how the objects are arranged. All right, so this is how they are arranged at the moment. So before we can demonstrate this, we first of all need to put these objects in a row. Okay, so I'll put them in a row first. So that means I can simply remove this and then put them as a what? A row. After I put them on a row like this, I'm not going to apply my justify content. Okay, and right now they are on the x-axis, which is horizontal. So I'll go back to my code editor, and then I'll come back to my justify content, and I can put space between. Okay, so space between like this. So when you put space between and check, you can see there's space between individual box like this, and the spaces are proportional. Okay, all right. Next up, you can put space around. So just put around like this, and then you can see there's space around individual box like this. Okay, so there's space here, there's space here, but with the space between, this space is not always there, so we have space around the boxes. All right, and then we have space evenly. So this is another one. So whatever space that is here is also here. They are equal. Okay, equal spaces around or surrounding individual box like this. Okay, so we have space around, space between, space evenly, and you can do a lot of fun or a lot of funny things with this kind of property, which is justify content. Okay, so let's continue looking at other properties when it comes to Flexbox. The next Flexbox property we are going to be looking at is align items, which works on the cross axis, which is the y axis. Let's go ahead and see how that works. So I'll take you to code editor, and then we'll first of all change the direction of our flex, which is column. So we're going to change it to column, so that they'll be vertically arranged. And then I'm going to remove our justify content. Okay, so now let's go back, and this is how it looks. So we're going to use align items to position or to display our flex items on the y-axis, and we all know y-axis starts from top to down. Okay, top to down. So right now they are in a column just like this vertically. So we're going to be working with our y axis, and that is align items. So let's see how that works. So I'll simply take you back there, and then we'll put align items. So we'll just put align items, and then we can put center. When we put center, now you can see our items are aligned center. We can remove the center and put flex start, and they will be pushed to the beginning of our box, okay, our flex container. You can see this is the default, which is flex start. We have flex end, and that will also push them to the ending part of our flex container, which is the gray part of the screen. So I'll simply go back there and then remove it. I'll remove the start and put end like this, and then we will go back there, and you can see they are pushed to the ending part of our screen. Okay, so let's go ahead and then continue. The next flex property we will be looking at in this part of the video is flex grow. Okay, let's go ahead and see what flex grow is in CSS. Let's continue. So before we actually demonstrate what flex grow is, I'm going to clear this code like this and leave it as flex, and then we'll put flex growth. But before we can demonstrate flex growth, we need to pick one of our items. Okay, so I'll come down like this, and then I'll pick one of my items. So I guess pick item like this, and then I'll put nth child. So this way we'll be able to target a specific item, something like this, maybe the third one, the second one, or the first one. So I'm going to take the third item, which is item 3. Okay, item 3. So we're going to pick the third one, which is first, second, third. Okay, so this is how you select that. You specify your item or your class, and then you put nth child, and then we put 3 here, and that means this is the third item we want to select. And then we open up this way, and then what we need to do here is we want to put flex growth. Okay, so I want to put flex grow like this on the third one, and after that I'll simply put something like maybe a higher value there. Okay, a higher value there, and this means our third item is going to increase in size by 3. All right, so we go there. You can see this is how it looks right now. Okay, and then we can when I increase the size of my screen, you see that this looks bigger. Okay, this looks bigger. You can also give it a value of 1 like this, 1, and then you can see it remains. So it's all about giving it a higher value. So that's flex growth. If you want one of your flex items to increase in size, use flex growth. Okay, flex growth. Let's continue and look at other flex properties when it comes to CSS. The next flex property we are going to be looking at is flex string. As the name suggests, string, meaning we want to compress it. Okay, we want to reduce the size of that image or that item. So let's go ahead and then see how that works. So I'll first of all remove my groove, and then I'll put string. Okay, so shrink like this, and then we're going to shrink our third item by something like 5. And then now when I take you there, and then we reduce the size of our screen to a certain breakpoint, you can see that item, that third item, looks smaller. You can see it has shrink by 5. Okay, you can also give it a different value or something like a lower value so that it won't shrink that much. But right now it has just shrink to something like 5 pixel. All right, so that is it. That's string, which is a property in Flexbox. Let's go ahead and look at other properties in Flexbox. The next Flexbox property we'll be looking at is Flex Wrap. Flex Wrap. And I hope you all know what wrap is. Okay, to wrap, right? So let's go ahead and see what Flex Wrap is in Flexbox. So I'll take you back to my code editor, and then I'll first of all clear this particular piece of code like this, and then I'll take you back to my container, right? And then I'll come down and put flex like this, and then we'll put wrap. So we have two options, wrap and no wrap. All right, these are the main things. If you want your elements to wrap, just put wrap, right? And then now I'll take you back here. So now when I reduce the size of my screen, you can see two of them. Okay, when I reduce the size of my screen to a certain breakpoint, you can see because the rest of my other boxes cannot fit in, what happens? They all fall down, so they wrap. That's wrap. Okay, they are now on the next line. They are on the next line when there's no space. So when I try to increase it a bit like this, you can see the other one has just joined our 3 boxes. Okay, because there's enough space for it to do so. So I'll continue a bit, and then this one too will follow in that way. All right, let's see, and you can see that. So that's wrap. Okay, that's Flex Wrap. Let's do cool things with Flexbox properties. All right, so let's go ahead and see how we're going to do cool things with Flexbox properties. All right, so let's do that. There's yet one property I've not talked to you about, and that is align self. Align self. Let's go ahead and see how that works. But before that, let's remove Flex Wrap. Okay, perfect. So we have removed Flex Wrap. So keynote, a keynote, please make sure when you are setting your Flexbox, your container takes this display property, which is display flex. If not, the items will not obey your Flexbox properties, okay, which are the ones we just talked about. All right, so make sure you set the display type as flex before it can obey the instruction of your properties in Flexbox. All right, I hope that makes sense. This Flexbox is important, but from here to here is not important because it only helped us to understand it visually. Okay, all right, so the important thing is setting the display type as flex and then applying your Flexbox properties to your flex items, just like what we did. So now what we're going to do is we will come down and then pick individual item. So we're going to do this. So first of all, pick our items, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use the env child. So the env child, and we're going to target our first item, which is the first box. Okay, so the first box, this one. All right, so before I can demonstrate that effectively, let me reduce my boxes to only 3, and then I'll come back there. So we have box 1, which is the first one, so that's item nth child, just like this, and then this way. Next up, we're going to use align self, so let's put align self this way. Now with the align self, we want to set it as flex start. Now when I take you there, nothing is going to change because this is the starting of it all. This is the starting of it, and the first item is already set as flex start. The next, our focus is on the second and the third one. So I'll take you there, and all we need to do is to just copy this exact code this way, and then I'll paste it beneath here like this, and then we select our second box, so we put second here. Now we're going to align self, and we'll put there center. Okay, just put center like this. After you change the align self on the second item as center, please remember to change or to set the direction. So this align self works on the column or on the cross axis, so you just put flex direction like this, flex direction as column. Okay, so now let's go there, and you can see because they are in a column, the first one remains there and the second one is in the middle. So we're not going to work on the third one, so we simply go back there and then copy our code again like this, and then we go beneath, and then we'll just paste it there. Remember to change it to the third one, and this time we're going to put it as flex end. Okay, flex end. So let's put flex, and you put end like this, the ending. So we have start, center, and the end. But remember to change your flex direction to what column, and then now you can see we have start, center, and then end. And this brings us to the end of Flexbox. I'll have a separate video talking about Flexbox. Remember to check that out. If you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, consider subscribing. That way, anytime content like this is released, you are notified. Thank you very much for watching this Flexbox episode. I'll see you in my next episode where we're going to be talking about other amazing CSS stuff. See you there.